Hi, welcome to another episode of Food for Thought. Today we are together in the same place, in the same time zone.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about some thoughts that we have about GLP-1s.
Yeah. So stay tuned. I can't wait to talk to you.
Yeah. Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of Food for Thought. And today we wanted to talk about something that we've been seeing in practice a lot, which is the use of GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro. Those medications are being prescribed quite often nowadays.
Yep.
And for some people, it can be really life-changing. For some people, it can be life-devastating.
Yes.
And a common thing that I see, especially with people that are having more of the negative symptoms, is an excessive suppression of the appetite.
Mm-hmm. Especially on higher dosages.
Yeah. And especially with things like Mounjaro, they're a little bit more intense.
Yeah.
And people often say, like, I don't feel hungry at all, or I eat and I feel full very fast.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to unpack that a little bit, because even though the medication might be making it feel like your body is not hungry, it doesn't mean that it doesn't need nourishment.
Exactly. Let's talk about what these medications do. And first of all, what they are. So it's a GLP-1, which is glucagon-like peptide 1, which mimics basically hormones that our body naturally produces, but they're a little bit more impactful and helpful. So the mechanism is, number one, it actually makes your brain not think of food. Basically, it kind of makes you feel full. So that can be confusing to our body when we especially have high dosages of it, because you don't want to eat. You literally stop eating. And that's where we really struggle with kind of the impact detrimentally. So you can see how it works really helpfully, but then it can also impact you in a negative way, which we'll continue to talk about.
Yeah, and the longer half-life of it just means that it makes
Stays
it
around
stay
longer.
longer.
Yeah.
It has the effects lasting longer too.
Yeah.
And it's totally understandable why people get excited about medications like Ozempic, because when you live a lifetime of food obsession, just the food chatter being sold out all the time, it can feel really exciting to have that tuned down a little bit. But that's also where things can get a little bit tricky. Hunger is not just an inconvenience. It is a signal that your body is sending you, that translates a need. You need protein to build your muscles. You need carbohydrates to feed your brain. You need fat to produce the hormones. And when you go long periods of time without eating, you're not getting those needs met. And it can cause some side effects.
Brain
it can
fog.
make your brain's not working like it needs to. It can make you very fatigued.
Muscle wasting, you can start to see that what they call the Ozempic face, right? You start losing actual muscle. So.
And even hair and things like that. It's interesting to see how some of the symptoms kind of overlap things that we see in anorexia, for example, because it's a sign of malnutrition, basically.
Yep.
So that's where I think that maybe getting some extra support can be really helpful.
So let's start talking about the malnutrition that oftentimes can be a little bit of associated, that we've seen at least, with this medication. So individuals kind of fall into this like unintentional restriction, and I don't think they really mean to, but when you're not getting the cues to eat, it's really easy to just stop eating. And, because the appetite just disappears basically. So over time, you begin to see some consequences. So one of the big one is just hair loss. People start to lose hair. Another one is maybe gallstones. We already talked about the muscle wasting piece, but I think we forget about like nutrient deficiencies that can pop up really quick, like zinc deficiency, for example, and then just impact on slower metabolism, right? Because as your body is trying to get some nutrition in, it begins to break down its own muscle, and then you just burn less calories. So it's going to be something that you're stuck with when you get off the medication, with high risk of absolutely regaining that weight.
Yeah. And, as you are on the medication, I think that we need to accept that if the appetite is not here,
Mhm.
we need to use other cues to prompt eating,
Yeah.
because if you're not feeling hungry, maybe we need to look more at a feeding schedule versus waiting for that intrinsic thing to come through that might not happen.
That could be like what we call anchor meals or gentle structure, something like that, which can be frustrating because you think you have all this time now to do 10 extra things besides eat it all, which a lot of
Yeah.
people end up filling their time with more work instead of actually nourishing their bodies.
Yeah. And this is where I think that working with a registered dietitian can be so impactful, because you need to figure out a way to navigate food that actually helps with the medication versus working against it,
Hmm.
you know, and how to optimize your food intake, maybe working on smaller, a little bit more nutrient dense meals, making sure that you're getting enough protein in to try to mitigate some of the muscle wasting that can happen with the medication. Um,
Condensing meals. When you're
Condensing
kind of
meals,
full, it's hard to get a nutrition in. So,
and even thinking about like how you navigate fiber and things like that.
yeah,
Fiber is something that helps slow down digestion. And
yeah.
if you're already having your digestion slowed down by the medication, it can make you feel full for a lot longer
Hmm.
if you have a bunch of fiber with each meal.
Hmm. And we're finding really that doctors just don't give any suggestion. They just prescribe the medication without any guidance. Whereas, like we found with people that get bariatric surgery, for example, they are required to do a 6-month, educational event before they're actually allowed to have that surgery. That's understandable. It's a surgery, but these medications are really just haphazardly kind of given out without any kind of structure. So we definitely encourage you to work with a dietitian.
Yeah. And I think that a big part of it too is to help heal that relationship with food, because at some point it should be expected that you'll be coming off of the medication. And if we didn't really work on the relationship with food, how are we going to navigate, life after coming off? So
Mhm. And the expectation that, you just don't have to eat during the day, obviously, is going to shift and change when the medication's reduced in frequency and volume or just taken off completely, like you said.
yeah, just kind of working on that concept that food is not the enemy.
Hmm.
That a lot of times people are so desperate when they get into the medications, that they don't have a chance to really work on that concept.
Yeah.
And then when they're off of it, the food chatter comes back, and it's tough to navigate.
Yeah. This is a gentle reminder. Taking these medications is not a shame. It shouldn't be something that you're embarrassed about. It can be an absolute tool. But if it's the only tool in your toolbox, that's what we have a problem with. They can
Doesn't mean that
be
you're lazy,
no,
that you
they can be life-saving. They can help really manage diabetes. They can really manage joint pain, multiple things if you're needing to see some weight loss or better blood sugar management, for sure. But the medication isn't a replacement for nourishment, for sure. We just have to make sure you're using that medication in combination with a different way of eating, perhaps than you have been eating previously. But that's a lot, again, where you can focus with a dietitian and kind of change that relationship with food, add in a little bit more balance so that, this can be lifelong, right? Not just again, another short-term diet or something like that you perhaps have followed.
Yeah. And we are almost at our destination. So let's take a look at it before we finish. Let's take a look at today's destination. So if you or someone you know is on a GLP-1 medication, remember, the goal is not really to eat less, it's to help your body regulate better.
You deserve care, not punishment.
And if you need more support navigating that new medication, don't hesitate to reach out to a dietitian. That's what we're here for.
Thanks so much for walking with us today. Take a deep breath, grab a snack, and we'll see you next time for our next Food for Thought.
See you. Bye.
By slowing down blood sugar absorption, right? And then, right?
No.
Let me go back and review it.
They stabilize blood sugar.
Okay, one more time.
Let me swap hands. I'll have to go up this mountain again. I got distracted.
It's okay.
Okay, one more time. You skipped this and this
I
and
just
went to
said you
this.
deserve care, not punishment.
But I started over.
Oh,
Sorry.